On this episode of Spill the Tea with LLIB, we have the incredible Sarah Stringfellow. Sarah, can you share with our listeners a little bit more about your business and the unique aspects that set it apart?
Lovely. So the dry answer, I would say, is I'm an International Coaching Federation accredited coach and business mentor. The less dry answer is that I get to support people to embrace their unique strengths, all their glorious imperfections, and fearlessly show up in the world as they are and live happy and joyful lives.
Wow. Yes, please.
Yes. Where do we sign up for that? Well, what inspired you to venture into this industry or niche?
Do you know what? I probably, like most people that start businesses or find a new way of, working and living, it's been a long journey, I would say, for everybody. And lots of different things define how we get to this point, don't they? I did set up my first business when I was 17, 18.
Wow.
But that was an opportunity that came with school. Yeah. And I think it was called Young Enterprise at the time. And do you remember that? And, there was a group of us in school and we set up a business, we ran a business. That was my first real experience of earning money and not a lot of money, I hasten to add, but earning money. And we had great fun doing it and I loved doing it. And that inspired me to go to university and do, I did European Business and French at university because I've always had a passion for languages and things. So, that was the start. At university, we got to run another business. So I ran a catering business for sports events at the university. Wow. Again, that was part of the course. So I've had little, dalliances into running businesses in the past. But I left university, I got a job in haulage, completely different. I went to work in France with all men, supporting lorry drivers all over Europe. So completely different.
That must have been quite hard in that male-dominated sort of environment as well.
Do you know what? I think it taught me lots of things that have been useful and not so useful in my life is what I would say. So definitely taught me resilience.
Yeah.
I was a 22-year-old young woman in a very male French haulage office. And I learned not to take things too personally. I learned just to kind of roll with things. And I think back then, living in France on my own, didn't have a mobile phone. I sound like absolutely ancient. Didn't have a mobile phone, didn't have like ways of easily contacting home and things. And I had to learn to kind of amuse myself and, look after myself and know what I liked and know what I didn't like. So I became quite a resourceful, resilient person, I would say. And that was amazing. But I met my husband actually at school. And we were still together all of this time. It kind of got to about 8 years in and I was like, he was in Liverpool, I was in France. And it was like, right, come on. We're either splitting up or we're getting married. Which one is it? So we got married and here I am 28 years later in Liverpool. So, moved here and that changed the job. I very much I was quite career driven, I would say at the time. I was one of the first non-transport people that they'd recruited into the transport industry on this graduate scheme. So I was, I had quite a career path ahead of me, but actually my relationship was more important to me and I wanted to, move to Liverpool and be here. And then kind of got married, had children and not having family around me meant that, I had to think differently about childcare and working and things like that. So I took lots of part-time jobs because I really wanted to be mainly at home with the children as much as I could. And then what really started me on this path is, as lots of us do, we struggle with our weight through our lives. And after having Caitlin, my second, I was really at a point where I needed to do something about my weight. And I joined Slimming World and I lost weight with Slimming World and it was absolutely amazing. And I thought, if I could help one person feel how this has made me feel, what an amazing opportunity that would be. And I bought a Slimming World franchise back then. So that was 20 odd years ago. I bought a Slimming World franchise and got the opportunity to support people on their weight loss journeys. From a education point of view, it's an incredible company because the sort of things that they taught us in terms of behaviour change, how to coach people, how to support people. I heard you talking earlier on about egos and communicating from that parent, adult, child. I learnt so much from, being part of that organisation and was with that organisation for 20 years and worked all the way through to the point of an employed role. But what I would say is I am a little bit of a rebellious child. And I do think I probably have authority issues, and I don't really like working for other people. So I've had lots and lots of years of self-employment over the last 20 years. But my last role was a fully employed role. And I think what I loved about what I've done is I've done lots of business development. It's very much been a coaching leadership style that I've worked in. It's very much been about helping people find their own way. Find what they love, find what their strengths are, and really help them flourish and grow. And I've always had this kind of burning desire to do that on a wider scale, I guess, rather than it just being around weight loss and health and that kind of thing. And then a couple of years ago, post-pandemic, and that was a really, really difficult time for business. You obviously had leading ladies at the time. You will have experienced that at the time as well. And it's that thing, isn't it, where we have to go into fight, flight or freeze.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I was responsible for 90 people, 200 businesses. We had to go into fight mode. And being in fight mode for such a long time does take its toll, really doesn't it? In terms of your physical well-being. I would say mentally I was quite strong, but I think what you try and convince yourself with your mind, your body goes, well, hang on a minute. I think you're trying to tell yourself one thing. But your body's saying another. And I had a couple of health worries. My mum wasn't well. So I got the opportunity to kind of step away from that, just take some time for myself. So I had a bit of a summer of fun, which was kind of like, a few adventures, go and do a few things. And that's when I really decided, no, I'm not one to do nothing. That's my problem. When you're kind of like, I'm going to do nothing, it's going to be great.
And then 3 days in.
Well, I think probably within a week of having finished my role, I had signed up to my master's in psychology. A week of doing nothing. I'll do a master's. I'll do a master's in psychology.
Season over.
So I signed up to masters. I started to look at actually, what can I do to become a professional coach? Because coaching industry is unregulated. But what can I do to kind of find a way that I can have ethics and standards and things like that? So I found a course with the International Coaching Federation with a great company called Optimus. So I signed up to that, but I didn't start that till the end of the summer. And that really was my journey into coaching and setting up my own coaching business. And I think I said to you before, didn't I, that initially we kind of go where our comfort zones are, don't we? So I started out as I first met you last year, Claire, Leading Ladies, very much in the business coaching side of things. And I still do business coaching, and I've got business coaching clients. I'm a certified business strategist. I'm a business mentor for the government's Help to Grow scheme. So I still very much do that. But sometimes you have to lean into that thing that's that calling. And I'm very much about my heart and the feelings that things give me and that passion and purpose piece. And that was more around, do you know what? I just would love the opportunity to support people to find the thing that really is going to make the difference to them. And I've seen that a lot in female entrepreneurs. One of the biggest things supporting people on their business development journey over the last 20 years has been actually it's ourselves that hold us back, isn't it? It's our own self-doubts, it's our own fears. It's those things that we give a voice to in our head that are not necessarily true. So I've kind of moved more into the side of, I guess life coaching is how you'd phrase it, but I've got my Fearlessly Fabulous program. And for me, Fearlessly Fabulous is, do you know what? Let's just go for it. We are who we are. Let's stand in our glorious imperfection. Let's know what lights us up. Let's know kind of what we're passionate about and what does make us happy. Because I would say my first kind of foray into having experience of a life coach was probably about, I'm trying to think, like Caitlin, my youngest, was maybe about 4. And I think go through different phases of your life, don't you? And as a mum of 2, I felt a bit lost in terms of, well, who am I and what do I like? Because, other needs do come first, don't they? You do have to support other people and their needs when you've got a family and that's just the way of life. And, so I kind of felt a little bit lost, and I've had times in my life where I've known what I've wanted to do, and then I've lost direction, and then I've maybe lost myself a little bit and questioned, well, I don't know who I am and what I like. So that's what kind of Fearlessly Fabulous is we're not talking ideal lives here. We're talking, what does a really good, happy life look like to you?
Yeah.
Who are you at your deepest? So it's like know you, be you in all your authenticity and flourish. So that's kind of where I am.
I love that. I think, you're right. So many women do lose their way, through these different chapters of motherhood and, friendship and relationship. And we try and be so many things to so many different people, don't we? A great mum, a great wife, a great friend. And often we forget to be great to ourselves and do those things that really do light us up. And I remember sitting there at a course probably about 5 years ago now. I'd just started Beautiful New Beginnings, and the guy who was running the course said, who are you and what do you like to do? And I was thinking, oh my God. And I got so panicky in there, and I started crying, and I realised at that point I actually didn't even know what I liked to do anymore. What do I like to watch on telly? Oh God, I don't even know. What do I like? What type of films do I don't even know. I hadn't done those things for so long because, my husband was in the army. He was away. He was on loads of different tours. I had the 2 kids at the time who were really young, 16 months apart. Everything revolved around doing things for other people. And at that point, I was just like, I have no idea. Yeah. No idea what that is.
Yeah. And I think, what? We're nodding our heads, aren't we? So many of us can relate to that. And we have to be kind to ourselves because we need to do what we need to do in the moment, don't we? But I think where I've gone with it in the past is I know I'm a massive over-nurturer, which I've since learned can be a form of control as well. So sometimes we have to learn to let go and let our children grow up and flourish. And as a natural giver, that's great. But at what point does that then become detrimental to you?
Yeah.
And I think it's just knowing that, isn't it? And maybe having that little buffer of, somebody to support you, to kind of help you stay within those lines, if that makes sense. So that, yes, you can still be, that big-hearted, warm, caring, giving person. You can support others and their needs, but actually, what about you? Because it's that, one of my favourite things is that you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
And it's such a well-known saying, isn't it? And it's perfect for, spilling the tea. But we do that, don't we? How many of us run on that level? And I think for me, particularly, I think it's been a long journey, but particularly over the last couple of years, it's just been about actually me recognising what do I like, who am I, what am I good at, and I would say that I've been lucky, I've been fortunate, I've had a supportive environment around me to help me with that. But I think sometimes even that, the work comes from inside, doesn't it? So I am a really down-to-earth person. So this is, I think, in terms of like uniquenesses, is that I don't have this ideal of this life we all should be living and what we should all be doing. I think it's very much, well, what works for you? And what works for you and what works for me. And it's going to be different for all of us.
Definitely. So if you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
I think that's a great question. And I think probably just that person that walked by your side, just that helped you find your way forward. So I don't want to be the leader. That's not me. I'd love to be the person that walked by your side, that helped you find what it was that you wanted to find that was going to help you flourish and feel great.
Yeah.
The little angel on your shoulder going, go on, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Just
I love that.
Come
on. And I love the fact that fits in with the Leading Ladies vision as well.
Yeah.
We always put on emails and on posts that this is a community. This doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs to everybody. And people always say, "Oh, can I do this?" Or do you? And we always say, don't we? Well, is that what people are asking for? Is that what women in business want? Then absolutely, 100%. Let's do that. I think it's really, really hard to be and to see yourself as a leader. because it does go back to that parent, adult, child. Well, are you telling people what to do? We're not telling people what to do in our community. We're showing, and we're showing the good. We're showing the not so great. We're showing the times when things aren't going, as well as what we'd like. And that's just a community of incredible women in business, isn't it?
I think it goes back to what you said. There's a couple of things you said before about, well, okay, you can try and tell people what to do, but we know from like ego states, you're going to either get a compliant child or a rebellious child.
You're going to get.
You're not going to get
the answer, and the result is going to be from their journey.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be, oh my goodness me, oh yeah, well I'm gonna do that. And even if you do say that, I listen to podcasts and I listen to guest speakers and I go, that's amazing. I am definitely going to implement that, and then something pops up or a little voice pops into my head and it's like, no, you can't do that because you've never done that in the past. There's no evidence that this is going to be the right thing for you, and then you steer off that path. So having someone as that guide standing next to you, not pushing you, because some business coaches really do, and I love being pushed, don't get me wrong. I love meeting goals. I love give me that challenge and I'll go for it. But at the same time, there's a massive difference between encouraging and supporting someone to get there and knowing that that's within their limits. Whereas sometimes, I've had business coaches in the past who haven't been parents, and I've been, do this, try this. And these are the words, do this, you need to do this, you need to try this. And I've gone, that's not happening because I'm at football with Dylan on that night. I'm at dance with Emmy that night. It's not going to work. So having that emotional support next to you and that person to go, well, why? Why don't you think you can do that?
Yeah.
Well, what's the worst thing that can happen if you do try that? You come back and that's okay. It sounds
Absolutely.
Incredible.
And I think it's that thing, isn't it? Is that my responsibility to you as a client, whether it's business coaching or life coaching, is where do you want to go? And I help you see what that looks like. But then that gives you the opportunity to reality check it as well. So you might say to me, I want to build this amazing business and I want this by the end of the year. Well, okay, great. Let's have a look what that looks like. And then let's reality check it for you, because, I've seen that happen so many times in the past where, businesses that I've worked with have set goals. But when you look at what it's actually going to take to get there, okay, well, is that realistic when you have got to go and pick up from dance or football or, whatever it is that you've got to do? Is that realistic? And it's that, I suppose it's that not striving for perfection, it's that mastery of goals, it's that moving forward. And I think that's the thing around coaching is if you're stuck in a cycle that you can't get out of, it's how do we help you move forward with that? But it doesn't have to be this perfection either. It's, I say, glorious imperfection.
Don't you think social media encouraged a lot of that over the last,
Massively.
Not so much last year, I didn't see so much of it last year, but years before, it was the get rich quick type of, I can help you do this, download this and you'll become a millionaire overnight. It's not. That's just emotive selling. You're just playing on that person's emotion to get them to buy whatever it is. I know people who have bought courses that have lasted 16 weeks that have dropped out the first 3 weeks not because the course wasn't incredible, because they couldn't commit. It's not transparent. And I think that's what all business owners need to be, transparent, because you want them incredible reviews at the end of that course. So you don't just want people to check out and buy. You want the experience of them then saying to 5 of their friends, you need to do this. So honesty and transparency is always high up.
And meeting people where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wherever they're at on that journey is, where are they now? What do they need? And where do they want to go? And how can we help you get there? And like I say, that's very much not just the business coaching, but, the life coaching side of things as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you could spill the tea with anyone at all, who would you choose and why would you choose them?
I think this is a great question, and it almost goes back to what you said before, thinking, oh my God, I've got nobody in my life that inspires me. I was like at a moment there, but you know what? There's so many people that inspire me. I actually watched a film recently, was it Nicholas Winton, about the guy that kind of went to Prague and saved all those people, those children prior to the war. I want
to go and watch that one.
It was incredible. It was like One Life or something like that. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I think it is. Just popped one on my little list. I'll message my husband afterwards.
And actually, we came out from that film, my husband and I said to my husband, I don't know if I'm the type of person that would have done what he did, like so selflessly, and it would be fascinating to talk to people like that. But I think, as other guests have said, as I've got older, what I appreciate at the minute is like time with my parents. It's time with, I don't have grandparents now, but actually the things that I would love to ask, and I'm really enjoying at the minute with my mum particularly, really asking her questions about her life growing up. Because I think when you're busy and when you're growing up in your life, I don't think you necessarily give that the same amount of attention, do you? And she's been telling me great stories. I think I definitely come from a line of strong women about her great Aunt Beck that ran this pub in this quite rough area, and she, the dockers would all come off the docks with the wages, and she'd be taking the wages off them so the wives got money, and like to make sure that they didn't spend it all in the pub. And I just love listening to stories like that. So I think if I was going to, there's lots of people that inspire me that I think, it'd be fascinating, but actually some of the stories in your own family are incredible, aren't they? And I think knowing that and then being able to pass them on as well is a part of, a part of our heritage.
I love history, and I love oral history. And for that reason, I kind of got, a couple of Christmases ago, there's an incredible range of books that's almost like a diary set. And it's called Tell Me Your Story, and then insert appropriate family member. Tell me your story, dad. Tell me your story, mum. Tell me your story, grandma. But I'd bought these books for people, and they've got really prompting questions in, like tell me about a time when you were, tell me about a time when you were most scared, and they can write in the book then, just sort of a one-page thing. But my grandpa passed a couple of years ago, and he'd filled a lot of it in. And one of the things was in there, tell me the thing you're proudest of. And he'd written in his own handwriting, my family, the greatest joy of my life. And I was just like, wow. But to have those words and the things that he's written is incredible. And, my nan's done some of hers as well, which is lovely. And for our kids to have that going through, and those stories to continue, I think,
they're really precious, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So I think, spilling the tea with people who mean the most to you will always be the best thing that you could ever do.
I love that.
Yeah.
It means a lot though, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does.
And I think just on that note though, because something I've noticed, it's great technology, isn't it? And, we've got our cameras and we can take so many photos, but actually probably the ones that I look on are the ones that are in an album somewhere, because I'm not great at, doing something with the photos on my phone and things like that. And it's the same with kind of our memories. They sound to, there's no letters anymore, is there? And people don't write letters so much. And again, this makes me sound really old, but when I was at university, like Paul and I used to write to each other every day because there wasn't email and we had a phone card. It's so sad, but I've got like stacks and stacks of letters, but you don't really have so much of that anymore, do you? So
that's lovely. There's pictures all over my house. So I print pictures out all the time, and as you walk up my stairs, there's 2 walls now full of just little ones, the little frames from IKEA, only £1, just any random pictures. They don't have to be the perfect picture. It can be just something silly, or one of the kids have taken a silly picture on my phone. My family like to take pictures on my phone, when I'm out the room. They take like 500 pictures on my camera reel because they think it's really funny. It's not really funny, but it is really funny. But I've got everything. I've got me and Cal, I've got this podcast in my living room. I've got a little picture on the couch, haven't I? With our little tea. I just love it because I float through the house and I just remember like how grateful and how much.
And that's very much right. A lot of what I do is rooted in positive psychology. And that's, that positive emotion. So, what is it that you can do that can help you generate that positive emotion? And it doesn't have to be these great, big, grand things.
No.
But it's noticing those things that do bring you joy. Noticing those things that you are grateful for and really embracing that. And that's very much part of what I do with clients, is that, PERMA model of positive psychology to help people cultivate that.
Or maybe you can help us with our own question.
Psychology, is a great lead, because positive psychology for me is all around, and rooted in tradition and real.
Okay, I'm ready for the question.
So, in terms of that, how would you make the perfect cup of tea?
I'm scared to tell you.
Oh no!
I know that's me. I know that's a me thing.
So how I used to make a cup of tea was milking first, then tea bag, and then water. Quick swish round and take the tea bag out.
And I'm okay
Feels
with
like
that.
there's no thought with that, though. A quick swish round.
I know, but I don't really like strong
when it's
tea.
like rooted in positive psychology and tradition and stuff. I'm like, I should give it a swish.
Yeah, but I don't really like strong tea. But then because I realised that actually the tea just soaks up all the milk before you put the water in.
Yeah.
I did change. So tea bag first, then water, but I am then still milk next because I like to see what colour I want it. So then I'll just, do it till I've got the colour that I want, and then I'm sorry, but
you've already said that, like, the milk and
it's
the
the psychology thing.
Stuff,
we're just so connected.
But then the tea's already had time to kind of colour the water, hasn't it, at that point? And then I just add the milk into...
She'll do this for 5 minutes and she'll try and convince you.
Just try it my way, because
do you know what? I'm always open to new ideas. I'm always open to new ideas.
And once you've gone there, you'll just
I'll
never
report
go back.
I'll report back.
No, don't report back. Never go back.
Fair enough. I'll do my best.
It's got to the point now where I have to have in my house, I've got a little tub of Yorkshire tea, because I'm a Yorkshire tea drinker. And Cal is a PG tipper. I have to have her own tub of PG tips in my house. And when I make a cup of tea in front of her, I have to make it her way.
Yeah. And now we all need a new kettle as well.
And I feel like dead naughty when I'm doing it.
Special kettles as well.
We all need a special kettle.
Sales of special kettles are going to go through the roof now.
We all do need that special kettle. But thank you so much, Sarah. You've been an incredible guest.
Even if you're our team, Claire.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.